Hello there. Today we are going to be painting a dachshund or a wiener dog with acrylic paint. So what you will need for this is of course a canvas. This here is an 8 by 10 inch canvas, but anything around this size will work just fine. I'm going to use a large, medium, and small flat brush, as well as a small rounded liner for details. I've got a paper towel or a washcloth, a paint palette to put my paints on, and a cup for water. The colors we'll be using, you'll need black and white, blue and green, and some sort of brown, and a red or a pink for the tongue. Actually, I just realized that our dachshund doesn't have a tongue, so if you want to add a tongue, then get out that pink, but I don't think I'm going to do a tongue for our dachshund, so you'll just need brown. So green, blue, brown for the colors, black and white. These are all acrylic craft paints. So you see acrylic craft paint. Any acrylic paints that you're using will work just fine. If you have something like this where they come in the tubes, that will work great too. To start our painting off, we are going to need to do the background, and our background is going to be blue for the sky and then green for the grass. So I'm going to get my blue out first, make a nice big pile of that on my palette. I'm also going to add white to that blue, make it a little bit lighter. I like my skies to be really light blue so that all the foreground, the stuff that's in the front, the subjects of the painting, all that can stand out if it's a really light blue. Okay, and I'm just going to take this and I'm going to paint somewhere around here. It's not the halfway point. It's a little bit below halfway. And I'm going to paint what's called the horizon line. So this line right here is the line where the sky and the ground will meet. That's called the horizon line. And then I'm just going to paint up the sides of my painting. I'm going to hold it so I don't paint the table. I like to paint up the sides and then flick the paint in to get rid of, you can see where the direction is, so I want to get rid of that by painting in like this. Go along the top. And now I'm just going to fill everything in. Painting back and forth, side to side. Trying to use up as much of this paint as I can. Okay. I have a lot of paint left on my brush here still, so I'm just gonna come down here and make this line a little bit lower, just to use a little bit more of that paint up. And wipe some of the excess off back on my palette. I got a little bit too much, and that's okay. All right, now that that's all done, I'm gonna move on to my green grass. This green here, I'm gonna pour right next, oop, that's plenty, right next to my blue, and I'm not gonna wash my brush because I actually do want this green to be a little bit lighter. And since this light blue already has white in it, I'm just gonna mix the two together If it makes your green too much of a blue green, you're gonna need to add yellow to fix it. But I think this is a good green color that we got here. I'm just gonna roll with this, okay? I don't really like using the green right out of the tube though, so either way you're gonna wanna either mix, maybe I'll show you here, just a little bit of yellow to brighten it up, and maybe a little bit of white. Or just use that light blue that you had for the background. And that will make it, there we go, more of a green grass color. And I'm just gonna fill this in, starting off at that horizon line. Remember, that's where the sky and the ground meet. I'm just gonna paint a line along there and fill the whole bottom in. All right. Make sure there's no white showing. And when you're happy with the background, rinse off your brush and clean that bad boy off really good, because we're done with this big brush, okay? Make sure it's super clean. And put that away because we are done with that brush. Now, before we move on to painting our wiener dog, we need to make sure that this background is totally dry. If you try to put blue or brown paint on top of this blue, it's not gonna go well, I promise. It's just gonna get all smeared up and look bad. So get a hairdryer out and dry this whole background off before moving on to painting the next steps. If you don't have a hairdryer, you're just gonna need to wait, but it will not take very long. So if you have to be patient, it's only like 10 minutes, go get a snack or something and come back to us, okay? So I'm gonna move this out of the way and once that is totally dry, you can touch it and make sure there's nothing coming off on your hands. Let's get this paper back out and mix up our brown. So I have this brown, it's called Burnt Sienna. It's like a nice light brown color. And I'm going to put that on my paint palette right here. You don't need very much. And again, just like I've been doing, I'm gonna mix some white in there. When you paint right out of the tube, it can be kind of see-through, and I don't want this paint to be see-through at all, so mixing a little bit of white in there will make it cover that blue in the background just a little bit better, all right? If the brown ends up being too light for what you want your dog to be, you can always go back in later and fix that color. But we want our wiener dog to be a nice light brown here, okay? So I mixed that really good. This is my medium-sized flat brush. I should have said that to start. This is my medium-sized flat brush. Okay, so once we have a nice brown color that we like, we're gonna start painting our wiener dog. And I am going to go ahead and start by painting this part of our wiener dog, the chest right here, okay? It's gonna be a nice big circle. So if you want, you can find the middle of your painting. Okay, that'd be right about here, middle of your canvas. And then you're gonna go over and down just a little bit. So right here, we're gonna paint a big old circle. And you see how we're leaving some space underneath that circle? We're gonna leave some space blue. But you want it to be close enough to the green so that if you can imagine where your legs are gonna go, you leave enough room for those little wiener dog legs to touch the grass. Okay? So we have a nice circle here. And we're gonna paint a smaller circle. We're gonna go from this circle over, and stop right about here. You wanna leave enough room so that we can do the tail in the back. But this is gonna go a little bit closer to the edge than we did on this side. So, and now we're also making sure that this circle is a lot smaller than the original circle, and it's a little bit farther down. Okay, I might have even painted it a little bit too high, but I think it's all right. Because what you want is from this top of this circle, you want to be able to come down and swoop back and connect just like that. All right. Come around, and we're gonna point this and make it into like a triangle here at the back. So go down and over. See how it's like a little triangle? That will eventually turn into one of our legs. So you can kind of just extend that right to where the green starts. And we'll just stop right there for now, okay? Going up. You want to connect these like that. Okay? It's looking a little bit weird, but that's how this whole process works when we're just painting shapes. Things can look a little bit weird before they look like what we're trying to make. So just trust the process and keep going with it, and you'll have yourself a wiener dog, I promise. So let's paint a front leg, the very, very front leg here. We're just gonna go straight down. If you want to move to your smaller brush, you could do that. Just if you don't think you can get your line small enough. We're gonna go straight down though, keeping it a little bit thicker at the back, at where we start here, so it's a little bit thicker, and then it goes straight down, making it a little bit smaller as it goes down over the green. Just a little bit over the green though, okay? We're gonna do another one right here, right in the middle. This one's a little bit bigger, but we're stopping right about the same spot. We want those to be pretty even, and there to be a little bit of a gap between them. All right. Now we're gonna do another leg here in the back. So right where this is its skinniest, I'm going to come down with another line like that. Back, filling it in, going straight down from here where it meets this other back leg. Straight down. See this back leg? It goes back where it meets the green. It's gonna go down straight. Make this even with that. And I slowly kind of fix my lines, make them look a little bit more intentional. This looks pretty goofy right now, I know, So if you're giggling at yourself and you're painting, that is all right. If it doesn't look like a wiener dog yet, it looks kind of like a weird chicken or something. Trust the process, okay? We're gonna stop all these legs at the same spot. Make sure that they're even. I'm gonna fix this here. All right. Now I'm going to add a circle right above here for the head. Just like that. And right in front of this circle, right at the very bottom, I'm just gonna kind of bring it out and make a little bit of a snout right there. Okay. Connecting that to the body with the neck. And now I'm gonna move on to a smaller paintbrush. We're gonna get all the rest of our details in here with something a little bit smaller, like our ears and our feet. So go ahead, rinse your brush really, really good. We're done with this size. Put that away and get your small flat brush here, okay? Going back in with this brown. I'm just gonna pop some ears on the sides of the head. You could draw little lines there first if you want. Coming down. Our wiener dogs have kind of big floppy ears. So it's like curving and then going back up. Curving down. Okay. Remember, this is a cartoon, so some of the features, like the ears, are a little bit exaggerated or overdone. That is fine, because this is our painting. And we're designing it how we want it to look. As long as it still mostly looks like a wiener dog, that's the important part. So now I'm going on to putting my feet on here. Basically, it's just a half a circle and a straight line right on the end of those nubs. Half a circle and a straight line back. One more, and back. We got little feet. So hair there, hear that. And a tail. So I'm gonna kind of fix this rump. Make that more smooth. And I'm gonna bring a tail out right there. Not touching the edge of the canvas really, but just going right up next to it. Like that. All right. Now what I usually like to do at this point in my paintings is mix a little bit of white paint, just a drop. It's a little more than a drop, that's okay. Mixing a little bit of white paint in with this brown. I'm gonna grab a tiny bit of water just to make it blend a little bit easier. And with this lighter brown color, I don't want to have too much on my paintbrush, just enough so that it blends with what I already got going on here. And I'm gonna go around and I'm going to find a few spots that need highlights. So wherever a highlight is gonna be on your painting is usually the closest to you, because it's the closest to whatever light source there is. So if there's a light shining on our dachshund like this, everything that's closest to us is gonna be a little bit lighter. So I'm gonna add a little bit of lighter paint and just kind of bring out the shapes. Okay. And I'm blending it really good. So like right here at the snout, where the head meets the body, I'm gonna go along that area and blend, blend, blend super good. I might have added a little bit too much white to mine because this is a bit lighter than the original brown than I want it to be. But does it still work? And it shows you how to bring out those highlights. Okay, just in the ears. See how I'm not painting over everything? I'm just kind of going along the ear and then blending it. Going along the back here. I'm not going over the tail at first because I want there to be a darker line. I'm just going to go over the top of the tail. See how you can still see that line? And then along here is going to be important because that will bring out the shape of this back leg. And I just blend, blend, blend really good. Don't let that dry before you blend. Now these back legs, I'm just lightly going over with just a little bit of that white because I don't want them to be the same color, but there's still some parts of it that can be highlighted. Okay, I'm gonna go back along front here, this front leg, and maybe just a little bit more in the ears, especially this ear that's overlapping the body. All right, I think that's really nice. Just add some extra dimension to your painting, add some volume, making it look more realistic. Rinse in that brush, rinse, rinse really good. We are done with that guy. And we are ready for our black paint. Just a drop or two is all you need. While I'm getting paint ready, I'm also going to put some white on my palette. Just a drop. Okay? Now, the last brush that we are using is our small round lining brush for details. And we need to add a nose and some eyeballs. So right here at the tip of our snout, I'm going to paint just a line going back, just like that. Just a line, and then I curve the line at the end, bring it back, making it a little wider, and then curling down in the tip. Kind of like a T, but just do it a little bit more carefully. Now practice your line work if you need to over here. You want these lines to be really thin for the mouth. You don't put a lot of pressure on the canvas, okay? Just, or on your paintbrush, just very lightly curl back to make that puppy smile. So ready, and up. Okay, add a little V on the end if you want. And let's put our eyeball right here. There's one. Now, in my original drawing, I have both eyes on my wiener dog. I kind of think that now that I've tilted his head to the side here, that we don't really want to paint this other eye. I'm trying to picture it on there. I'm not sure if I like the way that it would look. So I think we're just gonna leave it to the one eye here, since I wanted our wiener dog to have his little snout like the wiener dogs do, and I felt like that was lost in this original drawing. So I tilted his head to the side, but since his head's tilted to the side, I don't think we're gonna paint that second eyeball. So leaving it here, you can rinse your paintbrush completely off. And dry this eye completely really good. Once that is dry, we're gonna take our white paint and we're gonna paint a highlight right in that eye, right in the top corner, just like that. And that makes your painting look a little bit more cute, more like a cartoon. Gives it that reflection from the sun or whatever light source. So if you're happy with your painting and you want to just leave it here, you can do that. This is, I would say, a completely done painting, but if you want to take it a step further and practice your line work a little bit more, so practice doing these black lines and your brush control, because this really helps with being able to do details and learning control of your paintbrush. Follow along with me for this next step. We're just gonna outline everything, okay? So if you're leaving us now, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a future video. Otherwise, we're just dipping our small liner in the black, adding maybe a tiny, tiny bit of water to make it a little bit smoother. And we're just gonna go around everything, okay? I'm gonna start at the top of the head, pulling my line down. I'm just gonna go around everything. And I'm barely touching the canvas. You want to be pressing so softly with your brush to make these nice thin lines. I like to pull the brush instead of pushing it. And take your time. I can do this kind of quickly because I've done it a lot. I've had a lot of practice, so I can do it pretty quickly, but when I first started, I would have to do this pretty slow if I was gonna get my lines to be right, okay? At the feet, you go like this, around, and then add another line to give them some toes. Again, down, around, another little line for the toes. This line can kind of go up over the belly to make that leg stand out. Back. In there. Almost done. Now, if you want to keep working on your painting, you could always add extra fun details like a collar or maybe some flowers or the sun. But we're just painting our dachshund today and doing that together. So once you've finished your outline, we're gonna call it a day over here at least. So I think this came out super fun and great. If you'd like to join us for a future puppy video. We have a lot of dog breeds coming up. We got cat breeds as well, and a bunch of other types of animals and acrylic painting lessons. So I'd love to see you join us for one of those too. Otherwise, thank you so much for following along today and for painting this dachshund with me. So I hope you have a great rest of your day, whatever time it is, and take care. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.